Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Anyways, let's get back to the news over there in Iraq. I did a video earlier explaining the parallel rates. I couldn't believe how many people were confused. So I hope that clears it up, because as we continue to move forward and we go through these articles, they will mention the parallel rate several times. Just understand what they're talking about is paying attention to the official rate and paying attention to the market rate. And they want to really monitor that gap between the official and the market rate. And I explained why in there. There was a lot of news as I read through. Most of them pretty much all said the same thing, which is great news for Iraq. So we'll get into that here in just a moment. Before we get started, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it. If you're thinking about buying gold and silver, head on over to our friends at Money Metals Exchange. The link will be down below in the description. If you are a first-time buyer and you spend more than $100, use promo code PIMPYSILVER. Yes, it has changed. PIMPYSILVER. So if you're watching this video and it's an older video, make sure you check on current videos, because the code is going to be changing from time to time from now on. Also, I can be found on other platforms. Everybody knows I have my own website, Pimpy's News Network. Over here, I post videos that I can't get away with over on YouTube. Also, I have a group on Facebook called Pimpy's Investment Chat. Over here, we do talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, as well as foreign currency investments. Come on over here and join us. It's free to do so. You can also come follow me on Twitter, MeWe, YouTube, and Odyssey. The links for all these platforms will be down below in the description. So for whatever reason, if I get removed off of one platform, you could find me on the others. And for those of you looking for my address, there it is right here. Just feel free to pause the video and go ahead and write it down and reach out to me. So as I was stating earlier, a lot of this language in here is repetitive. It says urgent. The governor of the central bank reveals the secrets of the dollar's devaluation and the reason for its rise in the markets. Well, we know, I explained that in the other video when trying to teach people the difference between a market rate and the official rate, but we'll go ahead and go through here. Here you have the governor of the Central Bank of Iraq explaining why they went ahead and reduced the dollar against the dinar. It says the decision is based on an in-depth study in this field, and the main reason is the high inflation rate. We do not want to hold the citizens the consequences of this price, especially with a high level of prices. Okay, if you say so. Well, I don't know about a high in-depth research study. I mean, all you had to do is just look at the gap between the Iraqi Dinar's official rate and the market rate and see that people would rather have the US dollars than they would the Iraqi Dinar, and they were willing to pay more than what the bank was in order to get those dollars, especially for countries who are experiencing sanctions right around Iraq. So the main goal of the central bank all over the world is to stabilize prices and prevent inflation and the crossing of unwanted levels. This is one of the tools we use in adjusting the exchange rate in order to reduce the rate of inflation. What we're focusing on is internally and externally is trying to facilitate and simplify the entry of traders, especially dollar seekers, into the platform. The sooner they enter the platform, the closer we get to stabilizing and balancing supply and demand. He did say the official rate should not exceed 1,320 dinars against the dollar in the market. We believe that there is no reason or justification to sell the dollar at more than this rate. So what he's saying at this time, now he's saying one thing, it doesn't mean it won't do another, but at this time he's saying there's no reason to change the Iraqi dinar rate anymore. Then he goes on to say anybody who wants an increase in the dinar versus the dollar must be wanting it for nefarious reasons. Obviously, the Iraqi dinar has a strength based on the large reserves that cover this dinar and constitute a real force. The value of the dinar is real and not fabricated, considering that there are large foreign reserves covering this dinar, and as long as the central bank confirms and works to achieve the goal of general stability of prices and preserving the value of the dinar against the dollar, its external strengths represented by the exchange rate, there should be great reassurance that this is our goal, which is what I brought up in the past. What the increase in gold reserves and the increase in foreign currency reserves does is allows the bank to protect the Iraqi dinar's exchange rate, is what it does. So the governor of the central bank, we are determined to stabilize the exchange rate. Yeah. So the governor of the central bank of Iraq, Al-Alaq, confirmed on Wednesday the platform was found to protect the banking sector, while noting that the central bank's determination to stabilize the dollar exchange rate. The new electronic platform to avoid any sanctions on the entities that carry out transfers, whether banks or others, is to protect the banking sector, the central bank and the banks from falling into any forms related to external financial transfers, and this serves all parties. On the dollar exchange rate, the responsibilities of the central bank is to close the difference in the exchange rate, and our steps are serious and diligent, and we receive great support from all parties to achieve this goal. Our decisions with the International Monetary Fund were very fruitful, and we agree on programs that serve directly and indirectly to achieve this goal. So the system that they're talking about using is going to be the SWIFT 2.0. They are joining up with the rest of the global community. This right here says turning point in the energy dispute between Iraq and the Kurdistan regional government. So there's this long thing in here, covers the history and the whole 9 yards. But all you need to know is they have not settled the HCL law. It's still an issue that has not been settled, and this has been going on since around 2014. Al-Sudini advisor reveals the size of Iraq's internal and external debt. Without going into too much detail, the debt that they have is actually not very bad at all. It's in the billions. Don't get me wrong, it's still a lot, but considering right here, it says the total balance of public debt, internal and external, still does not exceed 35% of Iraq's GDP, while the international benchmark ratio allow for up to 60% and consider it stable. The United States, man, they're way above their GDP. That's actually really good. If they continue at the pace they are and they pay off big chunks of their debt, they can actually have this all paid off within a handful of years. That would be something else, to be totally sovereign of any debt. The foreign minister, Iraq adopts the principles and balance in its relations with neighboring countries and the region. They're talking about, while they're in Washington, the importance of opening the horizons of economic cooperation with Washington and the achievements of the current meetings as a focus on the strengthening of bonds of cooperation in the fields of energy, investment, and trade, and the support of the United States for Iraq in building a strong economy and developing the monetary and banking system of Iraq, expressing Iraq. So it's the same thing. We know that's what they've been working on. He continued to say that Iraq's efforts in the field of energy, enhancing resources, and discussing ways to contract with foreign and American companies, in particular for investment opportunities available in various sectors. He also provided a summary of the efforts of the Iraq government to combat corruption and legislative procedures to enact the oil and gas law and focus on providing the best service to citizens developing the energy sector. For their part, the senators stressed during the meetings they're welcome to Iraq's role in the region and its balanced relations with neighboring countries and regions, stressing the keenness to achieve the best relations with Iraq while noting supporting Iraq's efforts with the Treasury Department and other relevant parties to develop the Iraq economy, monetary and financial policy, and the banking sector. So every time I hear them say they're cooperating, all I can think about is them getting ready for the SWIFT 2.0 so they can push the central bank digital currency on people. That's funny. I went to go read this report, but I can't help but look at their face. Does this guy look very happy to you? Sorry, it's sad to say. So it says, among the agreements and understanding, Iraqi and the U.S. governments issued joint statements of Supreme Coordinating Committee, which is this new committee, I guess, that has been formed. This article, again, is going to touch on all the same things. They are agreeing to work together on fields of interest. They're doing what they can to take care of corruption. The two sides discussed the challenges facing the Iraqi economy, including parallel exchange rate markets. The United States welcomed the Iraqi government's efforts to enact economic reforms, as well as monetary policy reforms, modernizing the banking and financial sector, combating corruption, and preventing manipulation of financial system. Actions that would help boost Iraq's economic prospects, including strengthening financial and exchange markets. So, yeah, strengthen them. My guess is that the United States is dangling a carrot in front of Iraq, that if they just get their crap together and implement whatever system they want implemented so that they're locked into the SWIFT 2.0, then definitely we can see a much stronger Iraqi dinar, therefore a change in the exchange rate. Here's what I'm talking about. It says the two sides also affirmed their determination to continue working together to modernize the financial system in Iraq in order to improve the conditions of the Iraqi people. Yeah, okay. The U.S. and Iraqi delegations reiterated the same views that pursuing an ambitious energy independent agenda is essential to maximize Iraq's economic prosperities and protect its sovereignty. Said the two sides also discussed the water crisis in Iraq, and the United States expressed its intention to continue its technical assistance to improve water management practices in Iraq. So a couple of things. They're not suffering from a drought. They have Turkey and Syria, or whoever it is that's above them. They have over 400 dams blocking the water. So whenever those people get pissy at Iraq, they just turn off the water. They promised in an agreement that was done a long time ago that they would allow X amount of water to flow through the dams, and they're nowhere near that. So the Tigris River is dried up pretty much. So Iraq is now currently working on their own dam. Yes, they're going to stop water from just flowing out to the middle of nowhere. So once a dam is built, then of course water shouldn't be an issue for the farmers. So, and then pretty much the rest of this article talks about all the butt patting and pats on the heads and shaking hands and the whole 9 yards. It's the same crap over and over. So Al-Alasi, Iraq needs to be stacked in banks with advanced technology. What kind of technology are they talking about? The SWIFT 2.0? Scroll down here. It says Iraq has a large banking system and is in continuous growth, which necessitates the existence of an advanced technology commensurate with what the world is witnessing, and that we adopt a plan that promotes performance and raises it to the worlds gradually. She pointed out that the upgrades to the global service represents an important incentive for international companies that want to enter the Iraq labor market, represents their future ambition, which leads us to adopt the best strategies that promote the banking system prepared by the Iraq Central Bank. Well, this article right here is interesting. An American organization, the demands of the Iraq delegation have changed, and Biden should politely say no. The American Heritage Organization, which is close to the White House, revealed today, Wednesday, the demands of the Iraqi delegation, which is currently visiting Washington, headed by Hussein, have declined from obtaining an exemption period from the restrictions to temporarily reducing them. And they're talking about the flow of U.S. dollars. The organization said through a report translated by the media that the Iraq delegation, after facing its request for a period of exemption from the U.S. restrictions on the transfer of dollars to Iraq, retracted its previous demands and moved towards demanding a relaxation of the current restrictions instead of canceling them temporarily. The organization called on President Biden to politely reject all the demands of the Iraq delegation, stressing that the banking system in Iraq is completely corrupt and directly harms the interests of the Iraqi and American people. She pointed out that Iraq authorities obtained 20 years of complete exemptions from restrictions, describing it as sufficient time to adapt to the world order, from which Iraq is still outside, according to the report. So that's the stress. They're really clamping down on countries that they're dealing with, making sure that they get lined up with the world order, in which right now Iraq is outside of. I don't know if they really want to get involved with that thing. I mean, Iraq has got to learn to be independent and function on their own without having the United States babysit over them, because where they're trying to push them into is not a good thing. Ambassador addresses U.S. Iraq Business Council. So this article is all the same thing before, to pat each other on the back kind of stuff. But since we are invested in the Iraqi Dinar, this portion of it is important to hear. This is an important part of our work, is to facilitate trade and investment in Iraq and thus promote Iraq's growth. While Iraq's investment climate has its challenges, there are some positive trends. An estimated 60% of the population is younger than 25 years of age. And the Iraq's youth are Iraq's most valuable resources for building prosperous, inclusive Iraq. You can tell they are dealing with the World Economic Forum because they use language like this, inclusive, like inclusive capitalism. It's crap like that. So they're definitely working with the World Economic Forum to push this one world agenda, because the World Economic Forum keeps stressing to all the people how important their youth is for their future. So they're focusing on Iraq's has 60% of their population is under the age of 25, which is phenomenal. So if they could give them the education needed and get the infrastructure rebuilt in there, then you have a huge workforce there ready to go to work, which means less people on cash aid, more people paying taxes, and a stronger dinar, which means you can get a stronger exchange rate with that. Down here at the bottom, it says the Iraqi people look at the government to provide greater economic opportunities, and it's important for a Sudani government to make the promotion of diverse economic growth a priority. Diverse, there we go, that World Economic Forum term all over again. Economic and regulatory reform is needed to rebalance the economy from its reliance on oil, to deal with chronic shortages of electricity, and to address climate change. Another World Economic Forum term. But again, when we come to the whole electricity thing, if the United States truly wanted to get Iraq up and going and not dependent on Iran for this electricity, why don't they just send in a whole heap of people at one time and put up all the generators at once, and really get it going? Just a thought. Anyways, it says we firmly support Iraqi efforts in these areas and strongly encourage the Iraqi government to partner with U.S. companies. Okay, that's another reason why you're not going to see the dinar go up too fast anytime soon. This allows the United States to get in there and have cheaper labor, much cheaper, with the tremendous expertise, capacity, and experience in meeting these energy and environmental challenges. So what you have is the United States has been babysitting Iraq, making sure that everything that they're doing is pushing them towards being tied into the whole global system in finance as well as banking, which I still think people should not do it, because just a flip of a switch, you can affect an entire country, and that's the intentions that these people have with this. Nonetheless, this does look good for the Iraqi people. It is good for the Iraq government. So all the tools are there to help Iraq become economically stronger and a stable nation, and providing prosperity for its people. So with a strong economy, and the gold reserves are up, and the foreign currency reserves are up, there's no reason for Iraq not to have a stronger exchange rate once it can start providing more jobs and start redoing infrastructure. But it's not going to happen overnight, and you're not going to see no presto, a huge jump in the exchange rate. No, it's going to go up in increments, like I said before. Anyways, that's it for now, you guys. Let me know what you think down below. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll get back. That's it for now. I'm out.